Yay.
All right.
Yeah. Caurie, what's up?
Nelly.
I know.
My friend Nelly.
Oh, yes. Nelly. I have been known by that name for it's funny how different groups of people along my days, since high school, have called me that. And none of them are, maybe they're all the same reason. I don't know. I mean, probably so, but
It just flows.
it flows.
It flows.
It flows.
Nelly.
Yeah, pull that into you a little bit.
Flows to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's been Nelly with a belly full of jelly.
The long version.
long-
I just go for the short version of
Yeah.
Nelly.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think people just, there's that reason, there's,
Yeah.
whatever. It's, well, when you got it, you
Hey.
might as well flaunt it, right? That's too much. So, Caurie, how have you been? Quarantining? What has life been for you lately?
You know, the quarantine has been interesting.
Right.
It actually came at a pretty cool time in my life, I
Right.
feel. I'm kind of exploring a little bit more on the spirituality and
Right.
connecting with my soul and that whole
Right.
journey of life.
Cool.
So it came at a pretty cool time. It's given me
The right
a little bit of
time, yeah.
extra time to have some like self-reflection, some quiet, some
Focus.
peace. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Now I'm definitely ready to get back in the swing of things. I miss my people. I miss my, work. It drives me crazy to not be busy. You know me,
Right.
busybody. But yeah. Otherwise, it's been interesting. It's been funny seeing how everyone's been responding differently. Some people have been completely hunkered down, don't want to leave the house, don't want to do anything, and then other people get caught up on a conspiracy theory and
There's the
that whole-
variety, of course, of people. I have friends that are on both sides, and yeah, I have been somewhat quarantined and hunkered down as well, but that's normal for myself. I'm not
Right.
I'm not going crazy anyway. Yeah, it's you don't know what to believe and what not to believe anymore. I do know that this will all keep us cleaner in the future.
For sure.
And I have gone through so many disinfectant wipes, and glad that I was able to pick some of that up before it all was gone, and enough toilet paper to last the apocalypse. Though I didn't.
I may need to borrow some of that.
Yeah, but there's only one butt here to wipe, so luckily it doesn't go that fast. As a family would, I can't imagine.
And girls.
A girl? Oh yeah.
The toilet paper with girls in the house
I
just goes.
I can only I did have college roommates that were girls, but they lived upstairs, so I don't know how much really toilet paper they went through, but I can only imagine. Yeah, toilet paper. It's crazy that people went through that. So that was the first thing they did.
I heard somewhere that in like the 70s, when was Vietnam War?
It was 70 to 70, maybe 69 to 71-ish. I was born in 72, and my parents are worried about me being drafted 18 years from then because the Vietnam, they were.
So I feel like I heard from someone, this could be false, but during that time, there was an absolute shortage of toilet paper. So people have stuck that in their mind from the course of those years, and that's like the first thing that they run for, canned goods and toilet paper.
Right.
Regardless of the fact that our economy is still kind of rolling, you're not at a place where you're going to be,
Depends on who you ask. I get that. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but no, I heard it originated from that.
Well, that would make sense. I heard also a rumor from a guy that said his theory was that because toilet paper is so big on the shelf, like it's much bigger than a box of something, that when people saw that this whole aisle was, there was all these empty spots that more people, and that was his theory. Who knows? I mean, that's just funny to think that there's little crazy theories like that about toilet paper.
Of all things.
Of all things, I know. So, tell me, you said that you elaborate more on wanting to your spirituality and what you've been up to.
Yeah, so basically, I think that there's been this whole I guess, debate along life of religion and, you know, your soul and how you feel connected to things, and you have intuition and you have all of that. So a couple years ago, I started going down this path, reading a few different books about, you know, the depth of your soul and how you're connected to other people and that whole thing. And so the more I learned about it, the more I was interested in just exploring it. So that's been part of it. I've been getting into more meditation, yoga, that whole thing, and it's been pretty interesting to learn and to see, you know, kind of gauging different, you know, vibes from people. You know, you can meet a person and know immediately if they're warm or cold or that whole thing. So it's just kind of divulging a little bit more into that, and then also with my own, I guess, the path that I've been on in my lifetime, understanding that each stepping stone led me to where I am today.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes in those negative ways, like for example with the quarantine and everything going on with this pandemic, you know, it is definitely a valley as far as, you know, the way that we're on this path. You know, there are valleys, there's mountains, there's all of it. And so, you know, I think that eventually we're going to reach a peak and see that this whole pandemic and everything we're going through now, while it is tragic and it is, you know, incredibly bizarre for all of us, we've never experienced anything like this before. There will be, I think, something that comes to light. If anything, it's, I mean, you see families on social media connecting, like parents and children and all of that. I mean, none of that. I mean, can you imagine? I can't remember.
That didn't exist 2 months ago. It didn't.
Not at all.
No.
So it's like, it's pretty fascinating to see the way that people are dealing with this. I don't think it's something we can maintain forever, because I think people are itching to get back into the swing of things, but for that time, I think we made the best that we could.
Yes, that is part of what this is for me is I mean, God, this didn't exist 2 months ago. I mean, I'm not a broadcaster. I'm not. This is not what I do. But you know, what could, for me, it's what could I do more sitting right here at my house, and what could I do to bring content to people that aren't getting anything right now, that aren't are not that aren't getting that, but are looking for more of that because they don't have enough of it right now.
Absolutely.
And I have people that I like yourself that I enjoy and love talking to that I always have a good conversation with, and it always comes up. I mean, there's always something comes of it, one way or the other. In that I enjoy that, and that's why you're here. And I'm glad to know that both of us are on a journey right now through this time that, you know, maybe we had thought about it per se before, but this time with nothing to do.
Right. You're centered inward. You're really finding the creative vibes that you have within you. It's cool.
It's very cool. You know, I'm definitely. I'm not a math and science dude. I like a little bit of history. Not a school guy. I just wasn't that guy. But I didn't learn per se from reading books. I learned from life experience and watching, and you know, learned a lot of life things through watching podcasts just like this and YouTube that I you know, have really dived into certain things in my life, and this is, I guess, the next evolution of that. For some reason, that, you know, I did have a silly college radio show when I was in Georgia College, and I talked about that a little bit yesterday with Wendy. But I was the rock dog. I played CDs for my roommates. They were my only callers. You know, no, but I guarantee I only had 3 other listeners and maybe 2 others, but that was it. The only people, you know, play Metallica, play the whatever. This was 1991, 92. But I never, you know, cheerleading took over, and that's how that went. And to think now that I came back to this because of, I would never think that, you know, I haven't spent the last 25, 30 years of my life thinking, man, I really should have gone into radio.
Right.
But to think now that it's something I can do, you know, we're in 2020, and this is something you can do straight here from the house and reach the world. That I mean, I'm a private dude, but maybe let's go for it.
Right.
Why not? I mean, it'll probably get me out of my comfort zone, and probably, to be honest, it'll probably help me open up and learn some things about myself that I don't know, and that's and probably deal with some stuff along the way that I have never dealt with, which we don't want to go too much into that. Yes.
Like only a few layers.
We're only going to go a few layers in. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I think that is amazing. It's, some people have a very laid out exact plan of what they want their life to be, where they want to go, what they want to do and see. But I think that, sometimes you can miss some of the greatest parts of your life journey just by allowing these paths to open up in front of you.
Yeah.
And, maybe that time that you had on your radio show kind of planted a little seed, but what you didn't realize is that all the other paths you went on when you were in Hollywood for a while,
right.
Your connections with the cheer world, like, you never know. And it may have been all to
this may be the culminating moment.
Yeah,
it may
this
be.
is your peak.
You never know. It would be cool if it was, because this would be, I didn't go to Hollywood and to move out to LA to be a cheerleading coach per se. That's not why I went out there. I did it to get away from Atlanta for a little bit. I needed that time.
Yeah.
But, and not to think that I'm going to be, this is what, I'm trying to, about myself here. This is about my guests. But like we said earlier, I'm going to be in every one too, so there's going to be some, it's going to be about myself as well. And I'm realizing that now that I've started it. Like, I didn't think about that until the last few days. And that's a reality check for myself.
And it's a good thing. And thank you for having me, by the way.
Well,
I'm excited. When you messaged me about it, I was like, heck yeah, this is a great opportunity.
Right.
This will be fun. And,
well, you got a lot to talk about. You got a lot to talk about. You got a lot to talk about, and a lot of good things, and a lot of people know who you are, and with your lashes that you give the world, not give the world, but share with all of us. That I mean, I guess I'm a dude, and I'm not into little lashes. Of course, I've never had a pair on. I can tell you that, but I see the kids in this world that love what you do and what you offer them, and that's only a good thing. I mean, it's hard for me to what am I trying to say here? Because I'm not a girl and I don't know about lashes. They look fine without them. They look fine with them to me. But they do look great when they're on. And I'm like, those are some nice looking lashes.
Yeah.
In my own brain. Those got some nice lashes. Hey.
That's some good lashes on. Well, what's crazy is, so yes, this is a product that I sell, and yes, it's something that does amplify a look, and it does add a certain glam factor to whoever is wearing them. But the main thing about the company and that I love the most is the connection in the way that people feel. So when I think about selling lavender lashes, it's more about selling the experience overall and the way that this product is going to make a person feel. So, for example, when girls we all know how it is. Girls getting ready together to get ready for competition or a wedding or whatever it might be. That time together is sacred. The girls spend the time just getting glammed up, and it's almost like an inward reflection time.
Right.
It's a for me, especially like getting ready in the mornings or for whatever I'm gonna do. That's the time that I get to focus on myself and to really kind of set my intention for the day or whatever. And so this is kind of like a part of that ritual. And so where I love coming in is at the Lavender Lash Bars. That's my favorite. Just spending the time meeting all these amazing young ladies, and it's so fun because they come up and you're offering them that overall experience, that attention, that essentially you're giving them love, and working with these girls and making them feel like they're little princesses up in the chair. And then on top of that, my favorite is the moms. I love
doing lashes for them too, because they never get that. That's way out of their comfort zone.
They're like, we do everything for our girls, we do for our husbands, for all of this. But when the moms come up in the chair, it's like I get to goof off, I get to connect with them, and it's it's amazing what you can learn just from interacting with people. And I feel like that's similar to you, like how you are now in this radio show. I've learned so much about myself just from being with the girls.
Yeah.
And seeing what's important to them, how they feel, how they respond to different things. In makeup artistry, it's the same way. You're close to someone,
Right.
And that's been another problem with the quarantine.
Of course.
I haven't had the sorts of
You
connections.
can't do that from 6 feet away.
No. So, but you do create a sort of, even if it's for a short period of time, like a bond with
definite
whoever you're
connection.
working with.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy
It's
with
very cool.
the moms doing that. That's
It's really fun.
I never, as many times as you and I get to cross paths in a competition weekend, that I've never seen a mom there. Plenty of kids, but I look forward to the day that we cross paths and I see a mom. I'll have to just see I can see that.
It's fun.
Yeah, they would totally be into that.
And it's amazing, they sit in the chair and it's almost like, a little therapy session. So, they might say, I don't know, just what might be on their mind, what might be, sometimes it's joking, sometimes it gets very deep,
Really?
someone might really need to
Open up to, they needed you that.
It's crazy.
You're a therapist
and
as
I'm
well.
I just kind of give into that moment and be whatever that person needs. And that's something that I've,
great.
through those experiences, I've realized it's kind of like the way I've been most of my life. So that, also through that, it's like, okay, so I can be a lot of what someone might need, but then who am I? Really
You need
getting
that as well.
deep into knowing
Yeah.
who you are and what your purpose is.
Self-reflection.
So that's where a lot of the spirituality is.
That, I speaking of your yoga that you were talking about earlier, I do yoga as well, but it's not a spiritual thing for me. It's more of I do a DDP yoga, which is a little more, it's definitely not, totally the opposite, and he would say the same thing, and he promotes that it's definitely not, this is not your average yoga. So I don't do that for a spirituality purpose, but, or, a self-reflection purpose, but I definitely, the feeling I get from the yoga gives me that afterwards. I'm like, there's the good feeling I get from it. I never thought that I'd be a yoga dude.
A yogi.
But I'm not.
Yeah, the yoga stuff is very cool. I used to hate it actually. Years ago, I remember trying yoga. I was doing that P90X workout.
Did they have yoga in that too?
Tony had a yoga thing. It was so hard. I couldn't breathe. I'm like, what? This is crazy. Right. But now, once you take a second and kind of slow down, and it's crazy the way that your breath matches the way your body moves, and that, it's it creates alignment within you. So if you're out of alignment, if you're not breathing properly, if you're not listening to what your body's capable of, then that's when you'll have some of those issues, when you feel like, okay, this is not for me. But once you kind of slow down and listen and feel, it's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's. I need to do more of it. I don't do it enough. I should do it every day, and I don't. I could say that I probably haven't done it as much as I should. I mean, right now, why not? I got nothing else to do, but I've had so many. I've stayed busy during this time.
Well, clearly, with all of
I have tried to keep busy and find new ways to. I mean, this isn't so much like I'm trying to think of it. This is a money thing. This is I just want something to do and have fun and talk to people, and this is my way of having an interesting. Having my friends come to my house, and I don't have to go to them right now.
Right.
I said this all up just because I'm lonely. I need friends to come over. I'm here. I'm just to come on over. I need a buddy to come hang out with me. Yeah, lonely Neil. What are you gonna do, right? That is what it is. But
well, it gave you a good excuse to get out of the house, to get glammed up.
Well,
hey, no complaints here.
Good. I mean. Getting all glammed up. Speaking of that, I have had to give myself a haircut during this time. No, it doesn't. I mean, the top hasn't been messed with. I cut the sides, the back. It's pretty.
You could model it into one of those kind of faux hot cuts.
It's very. You can tell that I only went to a certain part, and my barber is upset with me, but he'll be fine. But he knows we've communicated, and I told him that I did it. He's like, oh, I don't even want to see it, but you know, and it's funny because he's doing music online because he's not working right now,
yeah.
so he's like putting videos of him playing guitar, but everyone doing something crazy during quarantine time, and taking care of yourself. You know, I had to give myself a haircut, and you know, I had the last time I cut my hair, it was all one length. It was a buzz cut. Well, hey, living in LA and you're broke, you cut your own hair. That's kind of, I noticed a lot of people that I knew had shaved heads. I'm like, I wonder if that's why. Because that's why I'm doing it.
Did you cut a clip?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm, you know, crazy rents, crazy gas prices at that time, crazy times of traffic. I mean, it was just, everything costs more. So, you know, they say you get paid more, but you don't get paid more there. It's the same thing. Everything costs more. And traffic's 10 times worse, so.
Yeah. That's how it was when I was living in New York City at makeup school.
That's right. But you didn't have to drive though, did you?
I didn't have to drive, but a dame coffee was $6. Not even like fancy Starbucks. You know, it was like, I mean, I did have a little French press that I was like, but it just wasn't the same.
Yeah, I don't do that. I just brew it, but.
Yeah, that's how the prices of things get crazy. I mean, like you're saying, the rents. You know, it's
you probably have more. I know.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure you pay more.
What they can, you know, what you can. Where you live is so important to what you pay. You know, that's why I'm still living out in the suburbs.
In the suburbs,
partially, well, partially, but more so for,
I'm not going
for the girl, the Carter K.
Of course,
so,
of course.
But yeah, it really is amazing to think about that. And as far as gas prices, I filled up my car, $35.
So nice.
It's been at times close to 60, 55, 60. So I was just like, what the? But I mean, that's something that I don't complain about. Not that I have many places to go.
I want to go somewhere so bad because of these gas prices. With that van, I want to take off and travel, but there's nowhere. Yeah, there's nowhere. There's no places I would want to go. I can't get into right now. If I was, for some reason, to get sick on the road, you know, I'm on the road. I got my dogs with me. How's that going to happen? I don't want that to happen.
Right.
Yeah. No. Too bad I can't enjoy these gas prices. I wish I could stockpile like the U.S. did. Like I just put it in a tank. I got my septic tank. I would have just put it in there and forget the, you know, because I know I didn't really realize that that's what we do when we get gas. Like we filled up our gas or got a surplus of gas. We don't put it in tanks. We put it back in the ground. Like gas.
What?
Yeah.
In the ground.
Okay, so where do we get our gas from, right? From the ground.
Yeah.
So when we got this gas from Saudi Arabia that we've just surplused because it was all the ship, you know, the craziness and why the prices are cheap. This is at least what I've been told. I haven't read this. This was from my dad, a pretty good, reliable source.
Fair.
I give him that. So he said that they take it, you know, obviously they pump it from the ground and we get it, and they to store it, they put it back in the ground here in U.S. soil. No, back to where the same places where we got our gas.
Or is it processed?
I guess we're getting into the weeds there. I don't really know how it all works, but that we're saving the surplus. We're taking it from their ground that they're giving us and putting it back where we would get where all the U.S. gas came from.
Yeah.
We put it back in those holes.
Word.
Put it back in the ground. That's pretty cool, right?
It is very cool.
I never really realized that. I didn't realize that. Well, on that note, let's take a little break. Let me change these cameras and we'll be right back.
Okay.
But we have known each other since before then.
It's been a long time.
It has been a long time, hasn't it?
For real. I mean, when you think about it, that was 14 years ago.
It was, I can put a time on it. Yes.
13.
It was 2004 when we met, I believe.
It was 5.
Was it 2005?
2005, yeah.
And
I came and was on that Rust Open team.
Was that how you got to the four walls of Stingrays?
Through the 4 walls of Stingrays. I remember because at the time I was cheering at Alabama, and a couple of my friends knew the Stingrays people, so myself and 2 other people that I cheered with came over and did Rust.
Okay.
And so at the time we were only competing cheer sport. It was just, you know, a team that had 2 practices.
Right, well that's how it was when I was on Rust, yeah.
So for cheer sport, my 2 friends and I paid some people to cheer. We had a basketball game to cheer for on like that Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
So we paid some people to cover us, but we didn't tell the coaches. So we show up and we're there at cheer sport, and they're like, we get some phone calls. Where are you? Oh, we thought this was okay.
Yeah.
So we ended up.
I mean, they did get paid.
They got paid. There was someone to cover the game. In our mind,
Felt it was good.
But when I look back on that, I'm like, we were crazy. Like, what in the world? But I mean, we didn't really get in big trouble, which is crazy also to think about. But that was a really fun team. There were like 50 people on the floor. That was the Wild West of cheerleading, I feel.
Right.
But
I couldn't imagine trying to do that, pull that one off. I would have gotten in trouble, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, we got.
My coach would have.
But...
Yeah, but why
we
not?
like...
Why not? Yeah, I mean.
It was fun overall. That was a really cool experience. So yeah, that's how I got brought into Ripton Stingrays.
Yeah.
Taught camps for a while.
Okay.
Coached for several years. Have the girl.
You were coaching when I came back, or no? I think you had come and gone. You coached while I was in California, I believe.
Maybe, yeah, maybe so. And then, now that kind of roped me back in. I was working for Infinity Shoes for a while.
Okay.
And then now with Varsity All-Star Fashion, so Varsity created the uniform division for All-Star Cheer specifically. And so they brought me on as like one of the first of that team. So that was, 10 years ago.
Yes. Yes.
Just over 10 years ago.
Right.
It was my 10-year little anniversary. So I've been doing that, and then our paths crossed again.
That was
you were directing at Icon.
Correct.
Yep, and so I went in, we designed that uniform.
Right.
Did the custom charcoal gray, which became a trend.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I appreciate that.
He had the vision. Piping.
That was probably the worst, the coolest vision, but not the best. However that turned out, I don't think that has ever been done again. But yeah, Wendy and I were talking about the little things that I love to see in the cheer world, and that's the invention of the charcoal gray and how that came about, at least in my own head.
Yeah.
And talked about how that you and I came back together because of that uniform and designing that together, and it still gives me a twinkle in my eye to see, it's the fabrics have changed, of course. And the sublimation and all that kind of stuff, but
no, there's like still the charcoal
gray didn't exist,
and charcoal polyester, and that was like our uniform was the first one that had it.
Yeah, it's good to see that color got brought into the sport, and that was my goal. I said I wanted it to be the new black. I don't know if it's the new black, but it in my head it's the new black.
Well, then that led to like the gunmetal mystique, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a cool uniform.
It's good to see. There's teams that I've seen Top Gun teams wear it, and I don't know what team that Smoke. Not the Stingray Smoke, but I saw some team with Smoke.
Yeah.
And then when we were in Indianapolis this last year, the color I really wanted, if I could have made any color at Icon, it would have been that same charcoal orange or charcoal gray and neon orange, like.
Oh.
And I saw a team wearing that up. Not that I love orange, but those two together look really cool.
They're definitely striking.
There was a team in Indianapolis that was wearing that, and I was like, yeah, y'all knew, y'all read, y'all. You got it. That's good. That's good. I like that. You lucked out, you little. But the good colors.
Colors.
Keep it on moving.
God, orange uniform this year. That neon orange.
That neon orange.
It's amazing.
Imagine, so that orange, in my head, that's what it was. It was that orange, maybe not as neon-y as that orange, but even though I love that, but that orange and a charcoal and white would have just been, I know, it would have been great, but whatever. It's crazy with that neon orange. It's weird to me as the photographer, the weirdest thing, because when my flash hits it, and my color balance, it does. If I'm going to make the blue right, the orange is not right. And if I make the orange right, the blue isn't right. And there's, way amount of post that could get there, but that's just crazy to try to do that with what I do. It's funny how the cell phone picked up the orange better than a piece of equipment that I use. It's funny when I did Orange's senior when I did their team pictures this year. I had a couple of moms like, can you make that orange? And I went back and I looked at it and I'm like, you're right. Let me.
Yeah.
And that's when I kind of delved into it. I did, because they all looked the same and I didn't even really think about it. And she's like, well, this picture, it's right. And I said, that's a picture I took for the girls with their cell phone. And that really got me thinking. And then when it's crazy, it's just it isn't anything that I'm doing per se. It's when light hits it differently, it reflects different ways. I did some pictures with a couple of orange girls in their uniforms at Ponce City Market right before UCA, and in going back and editing those pictures, just the same shot, and light is hitting them differently on this side, and you can see the transition just right there in the same. Like, man, it's
wild.
That's crazy how that. And obviously, when the black lights hit it when they come out, it just glows. So I almost feel like it's a very, whatever that material is, because I'm not that, I don't know, but it is a fabric that is made to glow in the dark, maybe first, almost.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know, because of how it reflects, how I see it reflect light differently, and people never look at that, but in the photographer, that's what I...
Yeah, that's like what you're trained to do.
Yeah, and we talked about it so much, I'm like, I know, I wish I could, I don't know if I don't know what to do, and after going back and looking, we were talking about it while we were shooting, and when I went back and started looking at them, I could see the difference in the color. I'm like, that is nuts. I mean, nothing I've dealt with before in a uniform color, but it's definitely striking, and
it's a vibrant one for sure.
It's a neat one to look at. I don't know how much at the beginning of. I'm a very much of a traditionalist when it comes to colors. I mean, you know that.
I know.
And so when teams started going with the other colors, I don't know how much I liked it. That's just because of that in myself. But I've learned that to enjoy it and see the goodness in it. And my only drawback was because I was that traditionalist.
Yeah, well, it's kind of creates like a branding within branding.
Of course.
So like
I
the
saw
big picture
a big
and
picture
then
of
like
it, right.
which I think is very cool. I mean, you see branding everywhere, and people brand themselves, products, I mean, it's I think it's fascinating, and it's also, with social media and everything like that, the perception of, like this kid might be on this team, and there's like a style involved, and that's it's the same way for like pro sports and all that. It's like pretty crazy to think about, finding like little mini communities within a big community, and
definitely has changed in the Stingray program, like we were talking about for us, is that, and that's what I can speak of at this point, is that it was all the same color, and now everybody's kind of getting their own thing in the sense of, and I like that. I liked, when in my day it was just the unique bow. We all had a different bow, we're tried to, and that still, of course, still happens. But to open up the, I do sometimes, I see the why we always have the same uniform. Obviously, there's a reason for that, and I see it. But I do like to see sometimes the other gyms, every team having its own uniform. But I can see how crazy that would be.
Oh, that would be.
I've only been through one uniform situation, and I know how crazy that is. I can't imagine dealing with.
I don't know how they do
21 teams in different uniforms. Like, I don't. And a lot of those teams that do that are gyms that have a lot of teams, and then have teams in different locations, and they're doing the same thing at those locations too. So I can imagine. I can imagine the actual people that are designing the uniform going nuts. Like, dude, can you just give me one? But
it's crazy.
But
it's like a preference, It's you have to balance out the reward versus the work that goes into it and all that. So But yeah, it's pretty fun, like working with, on the varsity side.
Right.
I have like my whole customer base, and everyone, same type of thing. Everyone has like a desire and a look that they're going for, and helping them kind of settle into what works for them and their program. And sometimes it's multiple uniforms, sometimes it's one. All that sort of thing that goes into it. It's honestly, like, I equate it a lot of times to like a wedding dress.
Right.
Like it takes a lot of time and a lot of vision and understanding to know like that perfect, are you saying yes to this dress, which in our case is uniform, because
Say
it's
yes
something
to the
that you're,
uniform. Right.
it's a really cool process. And then, from the design side of it, getting that look put together, and then the fittings. I love doing the uniform fittings because it's, again, I think that's just me. Like, I love those quick little one-on-one connections with people, or like those little silly chats or whatever.
Right.
The more people that you can.
Well, a lot of your business is that kind of interaction.
Yeah, I love it. It's really fun for me. So then the fittings, and then the ordering, and then the uniforms arrive, and you pass them out, and pray to God that everything fits, and
and we know how that
do it all
goes
again
too.
the next year. Yeah. So, but it is really fun, I would say. With anything, there's ups and downs. I'm thankful for the flexibility. I typically work from home, except for when I'm traveling, and then it works perfectly with Lavender, with my lash company, because it seems like the busy season for uniforms is the slow season for Lavender, and it kind of flip-flops
They go
back
like
and
that.
forth. Yeah.
I would think it would be the same, but I can see now that you say
Mm-hmm.
it that it is different timing.
Mm-hmm.
You got one time of this year, or the time of year for this, and time of the year for that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's me too. It's photography, with competition at this time, and then summer and senior pictures, and a wedding here and there. So yeah, luckily the business it comes around at different times, and it's not too busy at this. Like, I'm not slammed with senior pictures when I got to go to a competition. Luckily, I don't do that. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that you and I share this about each other. Like, I'm a busybody. I love variety. I love, doing different things, and it's important to just keep a balance of your schedule, keep on track with that, and then time management, and understanding that sometimes you're too busy to do something, and other times it's okay to branch off and do more.
Right.
And, fitting that whole puzzle of time together is really cool, and that's also really helps you to focus on more like present moment, like being in your moment, and
Well, that's the beauty.
not thinking too far ahead or behind.
Basically, I mean, even though you do work for varsity, you're an entrepreneur and you work for yourself. First and foremost, I do believe, that your lashes are your heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's what not that you don't love varsity, because I know you do.
Yeah.
But that you have that belief in yourself that doing something for yourself, and that's a kinship to myself, and working from home like you do, that you don't have to go in somewhere. You do have to time manage, and you have to you gotta count on yourself.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, and going back to entrepreneurship and all that, I'm in sales essentially with varsity, and you manage your sales territory almost like it is your business. It is, of course I have management and a boss and all that sort of thing, but the way I handle my little business of my territory, if I don't do a good job, then I don't, service my customers well. If I do a good job, then, the numbers show. And so it is in some ways like, anyone in sales, you should treat it as if it is your business. It is your, of course, follow procedures and don't go off the beaten path too far, but, treat it like it's your business. And
I've never had a sales job where I was selling for somebody else. Maybe I have, and I wasn't very good at that. Now that I think back, and that job didn't last. But yeah, that's never. I'm all about selling myself to people, and I guess saying that now in this situation, that's really, yes, I've worked other jobs, and I've worked many other times, and I'm sure that every person I've ever worked for, if they listen to this, will realize this, that I'm not the best employee per se. That's because that's just not me. I am I'm independent. I do my own thing. I'm a rare bird. I fly my own. I don't even know what the saying is, but
a lone wolf.
I'm definitely a lone wolf, and so and probably because in the cheerleading world, I have owned I've owned my own gym, so I've seen it from that side, and that has tainted me as an employee of the next, after that again, and I could see that probably didn't make me as good, as an employee after that, because I didn't see it like that anymore. I had a different perspective, I guess, is what all that really was. But yeah, yeah. So, talking about being an entrepreneur in your own mind, or in my mind, how, I know that with your lash company, it's this great booming business now. We all believe and hope that it is, right? And I believe that it is. And, my question is, how did you really get into? How did you start this? I know that lashes. We all had them, but you made them better. I don't know how that ever got started. That's one thing I don't know about the company. Honestly,
if anything has convinced me that you should just trust the path that you're on, it's this part of my path. So I had been working with Varsity for years, working on some different photo shoots and things like that. Right. And I was getting I would find myself really fascinated with the makeup artists and the hairstylists and that whole thing. Like growing up, I had sisters and friends and all that, where for prom, I would be the person to do your hair. If we were all getting ready to go out in college, I was doing your makeup. It was just something that I naturally fell into, the whole beauty realm. Right. So I would hang out with the makeup artists, fascinated, and then I would go back. I was coaching at Stingrays, and a couple of girls were like, "Hey, Caurie, we love the way you do your makeup. Would you do our makeup for homecoming or prom or whatever?" So I started getting those small kind of makeup gigs. I'm like, well, I don't really do it professionally, but I'm happy to help. So I started getting, some more jobs, some more work, and I realized how much I loved it. And how much I enjoyed the interaction, using creativity to create beauty, make people feel good about themselves. And so I started doing some research of how I could broaden this new thing that I've learned about myself. So I researched makeup schools and all that whole shebang, and I ended up finding this fantastic school in New York City. And so backtracking even further, I was blessed with a child.
Right.
At a young age, so I didn't get the full college experience to travel the world, any of that sort of thing. So it was an opportunity for me to also explore and live some of that that I maybe wasn't able to in the past. So with the support of so many people, went to New York City for 2 months, studied under these amazing makeup artistry teachers. It was pretty grueling, it was 8 hours, 9 hours a day, 5 days a week. It's pretty serious makeup stuff. And so I came back and I started working more like editorial, bridal, that sort of thing, doing makeup artistry, but I knew that there was something else that I had to do. And so I started researching primers, makeup things, that sort of thing, to see what sort of product line I could launch. And one day I was doing makeup for a girl, it was actually a cheerleader, Kaylee Keeper, Elisa Keeper from Twister's daughter. I mean, even like when she was in 8th grade or 7th grade or something like that, I was doing her makeup, and I had some false lashes that I had found. Lashes for girls are crazy impact. They look amazing, but typically are very uncomfortable. I remember wearing them previously, and gosh, especially cheering, I'd be ready to rip them off right when I came off the floor because they're uncomfortable. And so I found some that were, from like a beauty wholesaler or something like that were decently comfortable and natural looking. And so I, put them on Kaylee, and she was like, "Wow, these feel a lot better than the ones that I have to wear for cheer." And I was like,
ding,
bing. So that was the answer. So from there I was like, well, everyone loves to wear lashes. The beauty world is booming, but they're all uncomfortable, and
found a need.
Yeah, so I found a need, and then I started doing some research. At night I'd put Carter to bed, and I'd be out on my laptop, researching the different new product lines and manufacturers and that whole thing. And so I stumbled across a few manufacturers. I requested prototypes. I had a vision of reusable, comfortable lashes. So had a few prototypes made, chose my manufacturer. It all just kind of snowballed into this, here's the next stepping stone of the path, until the next thing I know, I was designing logos. I had hired an attorney to set up the LLC.
You were hiring a photographer to take promo shots of your lashes. Yes.
So the craziest thing is that when you feel a purpose, you barely have to make any real decisions, because it just
flow.
Happens. It flows. You're in the flow. And so started the company. Now it's a little over 3 years ago, I think. 3. And so it's been crazy, ups and downs, of course. I'm more or less busy depending on the season and what's going on, but it just kind of grew into being this thing. I've had a lot of really amazing opportunities along the way that helped it grow. But mainly the idea is it's a product that makes people feel good.
Makes people feel good.
Mm-hmm.
That's and I see that, and I can tell they love their lashes.
Yeah.
Again, Neil never wore lashes, so I don't know how good they make you feel. I don't know how good they. I would definitely. You know what? I'm down.
Okay.
I want to do it.
Here, people. Neil is down to put on some lashes.
I will do it at least to see how beautiful it makes me feel.
Okay, perfect.
But at least to experience what it feel like with some long lashes on. Yeah. Never done that.
I'll give you the full lash bar experience.
Let's see which ones I want. I think I only want. What's our new one? That's what I want. The newest one.
Well, we will be launching a couple of new styles soon.
Can we break it here first?
We could probably do that.
Maybe.
I'm thinking mid-May.
Mid-May, okay, all right.
Target time.
A new one coming out. That's great.
Yeah, a new one coming out for someone very special to us.
Yes, cool.
So that's another thing. Each lash style of mine
has its own name.
has a name, named after people who have been important in my life, friends, family.
That's even cooler. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it kind of pays homage to people who
that are important.
Been along my journey.
Yeah. That's I know things that I do know. We got a Carter K, right?
Obviously. Carter K.
And
big girl.
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, my little sister. Yeah.
And what are some of the other names that I can't remember right now?
Some of the others. The first lavender lash is Marie.
Marie.
Named after my mom.
Okay.
Donna Marie.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And then I have Ashley, after one of my close friends.
Okay.
Leslie, after one of my mentors.
Right.
Judy. Who else? Mary Grace, after one of my first
There's
really
more than
good
I even know.
Yeah, I think we've got 8 right now.
Wow, I didn't realize
Mary Grace,
that.
Sylvia, said Judy. Yeah, I think that might be.
Too many that
Jane,
you've forgotten.
After my friend from high school, who's a doctor. I mean,
you can't forget that. I know, right? Can't forget that one.
Yeah.
Mentors are good people for you. They and to put them into your business in a line that will be there is a great way to show respect, homage, whatever you want to call it. That's pretty cool. I knew that. I mean, obviously Carter K. I knew that one.
Yeah.
But I didn't know about your mother's name and that she was that first one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And conversationally, it's cool. It's a lash bar. So I'm helping someone put on their lash. Let me tell you the story behind this one. And, I do cool things like on birthdays. If it's Donna's birthday, Donna Marie's birthday, that's an opportunity for sales and, that whole thing. So it's pretty fun. But, yeah, it's interesting. I always get people who joke with me about, all right, when are you going to make the next this lash after me, or
right. When are you naming the one after myself?
Or you make the big mic, or
a big mic. I never knew a big mic. I know. I'm ready to see my Nelly. That better be one now.
Nelly.
The Nelly. Well, where'd you get that? You don't even want to know where you got that one from. This is the Nelly.
Nelly.
The Nelly.
They're like charcoal gray instead of black.
Well, because it's definitely the new black. At least in my own brain, it is.
Gray is the new black.
I mean, I wish it had taken off like that. That is my. I wish.
But it did make an impact. Okay, Neil, let's be real. We're never,
ever
going to replace
I'm wearing black.
No.
Of course.
Everyone wears black. Black is black.
That's fair. It did enough. That's what you're telling me, I believe. I'm
thinking you
enough people
definitely
did
make
use
some
it.
ripples in the pond. Okay?
If there's a ripple in the pond, that makes me happy. I should make more ripples with this this beautifulness of myself.
Yes.
More ripples, but whatever. It is what it is.
You're making ripples now.
I'm making ripples now.
Exactly.
Hey, that is true.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hope so. Let us hope so.
I believe it.
You believe in me?
Always.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, good times with good people, that's what's important, and I appreciate all the friendship that you've given me over the years, and I appreciate you being part of this, and hopefully we covered some things that people out there either didn't know about you, because I learned something today, and that I didn't know, and maybe somebody learned something that they didn't know about you, and that's all we can hope for from this conversation.
Yeah.
But yes, promote yourself. What can we expect in the future from Caurie?
Well, I'm just kind of riding the wave, still on my path, still on my journey, pursuing everything that I love, from varsity to lavender to people I'm around. Learning, this has been the craziest thing, learning to love myself for all the quirks and crazy and that whole thing. And I think that that's something that a lot of people are really understanding. Like, you have to...
Gotta love yourself.
You gotta be friendly with yourself before you can be friendly with everybody else. So that's been really cool. I want to do more work with social media and do some cool video stuff for lavender. That's kind of hopefully on the horizon. And maybe some new products. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's kind of potential. But, if you guys want to follow on Instagram, at Feel the Lab.
Follow her.
Follow them.
Follow her.
But yeah, other than that, I'm just gonna kind of see where the next stepping stone leads me.
Still planning
trust in that path.
Planning on lash bars, all the same.
Yeah,
nothing will change. Let's hope. We're keeping our fingers crossed. I know that's a good place for you. You've told me, and I've seen it, so I know that's something you enjoy.
It's fun. That's
glad.
my favorite thing.
Well, at least in our days from the beginning of our path in this sport to where we are now, we find something that something that we enjoyed as one thing, and now we get to enjoy it a different way, and that is what I love now that I get to see this sport from a whole different different eyes now, and I don't have the stress, so that's I get to smile and enjoy it, and I can have these conversations with people about whatever they want to talk about, of course, and but there's still that underlying, we all have this love of
common ground,
a certain thing, and that's great, and hopefully that will grow. Appreciate it, Caurie. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, everybody, have a great day.